Hey guys, tonight we stand before something you probably wish you could unsee. But here we are. You came for haunted history, and tonight you're getting a story that creaks like a rusted hinge and whispers just out of earshot. Imagine an asylum, not the movie kind, not the blood-smeared jump scare cliche, but one that's somehow worse, because it still pretends to be asleep. The air is thick and grey as you approach the wrought iron gates of Black Hollow Asylum. It's nearly midnight, though time feels more decorative here than functional. Ivy clings to the fence like it's trying to hold it all together. You reach out, half expecting resistance, but the gates groan open with a reluctant shudder. You weren't supposed to get in so easily. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know your local time in the comments, and maybe share what keeps you up at night. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You step through, gravel crunching underfoot. Black Hollow has been sealed off since 1956, but the building doesn't seem to know that. The main structure rises like a scolded priest, stern, gothic, and endlessly tired. A crumbling tower rises at the center, topped with a rusted bell that hasn't rung in decades. Or so they say. Some believe the spirits never left. Others whisper that Black Hollow never had spirits to begin with, just echoes of cruelty soaked deep into the stone. Your fingers brush the edge of a nameplate hanging sideways. Department of Behavioral Realignment. That was the asylum's euphemism for electroshock, ice baths, and re-education rooms. You imagine the sign once gleamed gold, but now it's pitted and cold, like a tooth left too long in the rain. The main doors stand half open, not pried, not broken, just waiting. Inside, your boots land softly on a carpet of dead leaves. How did they get here? All the windows are sealed shut with wood that's warped and bent from the inside out. It's as if something inside has been trying to breathe. To your left, a shattered lobby, the desk still cluttered with files. To your right, a hall that hums. You hear a buzz, no electricity here, but it still hums. That kind of hum that lives in your ears after someone screams too close. There's also a smell, damp plaster, rust, and beneath that, lilacs. Faint and sickly, you pass a room marked staff only. Inside, hundreds of patient bracelets hung on, hooks, all alphabetized, all tarnished. Every hook is full. You glance at the wall calendar, November 1956, and every day from the 1st to the 15th is scratched out in deep red ink. The 16th, blank. Historians still argue whether the final evacuation ever happened. No one's found the records. Some claim the staff left in waves. Others say no one left at all. You wander further, deeper into the hallway where the air feels tighter, like you're walking underwater. You reach a side chamber, a waiting room. Mold creeps across old sofas. A stack of magazines sits on a low table, but every cover has the faces scratched out. Every single one. In the corner, you spot a child's wooden horse. Its wheels spin slowly, though no wind stirs the air. You look up. The ceiling fan is missing all its blades, but its base spins anyway. That's when you see it. Faint, fleeting, a shape in the reflection of a broken mirror. It's behind you, but when you turn, nothing. You move on. A mural spans the length of one corridor. It's beautiful, intricate, and wrong. Figures in hospital gowns dance under a blood-orange moon while faceless doctors look on. One corner shows a man sitting in a chair, wires trailing from his temples, eyes wide with something between joy and terror. You take a step back. The man looks familiar, like someone you saw in the mirror just now, or maybe in a dream you forgot. You reach the central hub of the building. 6 wings split off from here, like the arms of a dying starfish. Each wing housed a different condition. One for mania, one for depression, one for spiritual confusion, whatever that meant to 1950s psychology. One for the violent, one for the forgotten, and one no one mentions. No records, just a rusted plate marked Wing 6. A draft passes through. Cold and sudden, but the air outside was still. You're indoors, no open windows. Nothing should move. Some say the wind in Black Hollow is alive. It knows your name. It waits for it to be whispered back. As you stand in that hub, something creaks above. You look up through the cracked dome overhead. A bell. It moves. A slow, unsure sway. It hasn't rung since 1956. Except you swear you hear a low clang, deep and underwater, coming from somewhere inside the stone. You move toward the east wing, the one with the nursery. You'll get there soon. But right now, you pause in front of a patient directory. It's behind glass, yellowed with time. Every name from A to L is scratched out. M to Z, still legible. You run your finger down the list and stop on a name. Marion Lafay. Next to it, discharged, 16 Nov 1956. But someone scrawled something beside the date. She never left. You back away, pulse rising. Your footsteps echo. But one of them, just one, doesn't belong to you. And that's where we'll pick up next. The echo follows you, faint but deliberate, as you edge down the hallway toward the east wing. Every step feels borrowed. The air thickens like a damp curtain pulled across your face, and you feel the temperature drop. Not a natural cold, but one that seems to hum through the bones of the building itself. You pass more patient rooms. Some doors are ajar, others bolted shut from the outside. You glance through a crack in one. Inside, a small iron bed, no mattress, and a ceiling scrawled with chalk. Names, dates, tally marks. One phrase repeats again and again. Don't look. At the window. You don't mean to, but you do. The glass is smeared from the inside, not like someone tried to escape, but like something wanted in. You blink, and for a split second, the reflection shows not your face, but another. Hollow eyes. A mouth open just enough to whisper. Some believe the asylum had no original blueprints, that its architecture was altered floor by floor, room by room, guided by dreams from the head doctor, Dr. Elias Fenner, a name that vanished after the final patient entry. There's no death certificate, no transfer, just a note in the records. Began speaking to walls. Reassigned, Wing 6. The hallway twists now, slanting slightly downhill. You wouldn't have noticed if not for the steady pull in your calves, as if the asylum itself were dragging you towards something. To your left, you see the first nursery door, painted over in a faded mint green, chipped and bruised from decades of silence. A brass plaque hangs crooked, Children's Wellness Unit. Inside it smells like mildew and lavender. Not sweet lavender, old, medicinal, stifling. Rows of tiny cribs still line the walls, and some rock gently on their own. No breeze, no tilt in the floor, just motion. Mechanical, rhythmic, as if rehearsed. In the far corner, a mural, brighter than the others. It shows children playing under a bright yellow sun. A carousel spins in the background, surrounded by trees. But the sun has eyes, and it watches the children. Every one of them. One child looks straight out of the painting, mouth a small painted circle. You think it's screaming. A forgotten clipboard sits on the floor. You pick it up. The last name scrawled there reads, J. Fenner, age 6. Diagnosis, auditory hallucinations, voices from the walls. Below, in another hand, placed in isolation per protocol. Historians still argue whether children were actually treated here or if this wing was for show, a public face to an otherwise severe institution. Records are sparse, and photos were deliberately destroyed during the decommission. A soft thunk breaks your focus. Behind you, a crib has stopped rocking. Another. One has started. You move again, faster now. The hallway tightens, and the walls grow stained with something that resembles water damage, but runs up the wall, not down. You pass a window. It shows the courtyard. Only. There is no courtyard on this side of the building. At least, not on any map. Yet there it is, moonlit, fog-laced, with something tall and shrouded standing among broken benches. It turns. You step back. Some believe the asylum rearranges itself for each visitor, that no two guests ever walk the same path. The lucky ones find their way back. The rest become part of the map. You round a corner and find yourself in a treatment room. The rusted remains of a hydrotherapy tank loom in the center. Someone has filled it with rainwater, or something darker, floating atop the surface. A single hospital bracelet, name long faded. You lean closer. Bubbles rise. From below, a chair sits beside the tank, overturned. Its straps are still in place. Dried, cracked leather. You reach out to touch the armrest and feel warmth. Not ambient heat, but body temperature. As if someone just left, you back away. The corridor beckons again. The tiles shift subtly as you walk. You realize you're not returning the way you came. The floor mosaic has changed. It now shows a spiral winding inward with every step. In the center, a face, hooded, faceless, hand extended. You try not to look at the hand too long. It twitches. You find a door at the end of the hallway. It's marked, Records and Archives. Inside, it's dust-choked and collapsed in parts. Rows of filing cabinets stand like soldiers left to rust. You pull one open. Files spill forward, not on patients, but staff. Each file ends the same way. Reassigned, Wing 6. You find Dr. Fenner's file. A photo is stapled to the inside. He's smiling. In the corner of the photo is a reflection. Something behind him in the window. A face. Not his. The lights flicker. Not overhead. On a small desk lamp by the far wall. The plug isn't connected. It clicks on anyway. You approach the desk. A reel-to-reel recorder sits beside the lamp. Its tape is marked simply, "They speak through stone." You press play. Static. Then, do you hear it too? Behind the plaster. It's not rats. It's never been rats. They tap in threes. They breathe in the pipes. They're older than this building. The voice cuts off mid-sentence. The tape unspools. You step away, your breath fogging the air now. It's colder. You turn back toward the door. But it's gone. Only a blank wall greets you now. You're not trapped. Not exactly. But you're definitely somewhere else now. Somewhere deeper. Somewhere that remembers. You close your eyes, and for a moment, there's silence. Then the walls breathe. You keep your eyes shut just a little longer, hoping the breath you heard The impossible inhale and exhale of the walls was a figment, a trick of tension, a hallucination spun from shadow and story. But the air shifts around you. It brushes, your face in waves, like something vast and slow is turning nearby. When you open your eyes, the room is still dim, but the dust is gone. Every surface has been wiped clean, unnervingly so. The filing cabinets stand perfectly aligned, the rust, the clutter, erased. Even the smell is different. Bleach, ozone, and something faintly floral. Funeral floral. You hear it then, a low murmuring behind the walls. Not one voice, dozens. Whispering in cadence like a chant, or an old radio broadcast caught between stations. You place your hand on the cold plaster and feel it hum beneath your palm. Rhythmic, intentional. Some believe the building absorbs memory the way stone holds heat, that a place like this becomes sentient, not alive exactly, but aware, especially when soaked for years in pain and repetition. And repetition, after all, is a kind of ritual. You take a breath and push onward. A narrow corridor has formed where the records room wall once stood. It leans slightly left, ceiling low and arched, like a tunnel dug in haste. As you walk, the ground underfoot changes from tile to earth, packed hard and damp. Footsteps aren't yours alone now. You hear others. Behind, but you never see them. The walls never quite allow it. You emerge into the theatre, not a grand stage, but a treatment auditorium. Semicircular, tiered seats built into concrete. At the centre, a surgical platform. You feel it before you see it. Cold spot, heavy, like the room holds its breath even now, long after the last performance. Instruments remain on the tray, scalpel, rib spreader, bone saw, each tagged with waxed linen. No blood, no dust, as if someone means to return. They used to invite guests, wealthy donors, curious academics, front row views of experimental therapy. The program was once praised for advancing psychiatric technique with transparency and grace. That was the phrasing in the 1913 brochure, at least. On the back wall, painted in faded Latin, per sanitatem mentis, for the health of the mind. Some believe the performances never stopped, that the spirits here are not echoes, but actors, caught in loops. Each night, the same procedure, the same scream, the same silence afterward. You take the stairs down. Your hand grazes the railing. It feels warm again. Not comforting, not human, just warm, like something watching wants you to know it sees. The floor pulses faintly underfoot. You realize the tiles form a pattern, a mandala of stitched nerves and open eyes. You blink. The pattern vanishes. A projector hums behind you. Its beam flickers to life on the far wall. Without film, without light. But there's an image. A patient in a gown, seated, head bowed. Slowly she looks up. She's mouthing something. You can't hear it, but you don't need to. Why didn't you stop them? You turn. The projector is gone. You step backward into a service hallway, the kind staff used to move unseen. The walls here are lined with faded murals, scenes of peace, gardens, rain clouds, birds in flight. But the eyes are wrong, too many, too sharp. One crow seems to shift position each time you glance away. There's a doorway ahead, marked simply, Hydro Unit. Inside, the room is tiled from floor to ceiling, lined with tubs the size of coffins, some filled, others dry. Steam hovers, low across the ground, like fog in a valley. Each tub has restraints. In the corner, a faucet that drips blood-red rust into a cracked basin. You listen. The water doesn't plink. It ticks like a clock. Precisely every 3 seconds, you pass a drain in the floor. It's not covered. A whisper curls up from it. It never ended down here. You don't ask. You keep walking. Some believe this wing was built atop an older structure. Older than the asylum. Older than any records. A chapel, perhaps. Or a crypt. Or something else entirely. The original foundation was never documented. You reach the end of the unit and find a single door, heavily rusted, barely hanging on its hinges. You nudge it open. Beyond is the morgue. Cold, sterile, unfinished. Drawers line the walls like teeth. Most are empty. Most, you see one half open, you hesitate. Then you see it. A note taped to the edge. If you're reading this, you're part of it now. Inside the drawer. Not a body, but a mirror. You look in. It shows the hallway behind you. Someone is standing there. You spin. No one. You look again. The mirror is cracked now. A line splits your reflection in two. You close the drawer gently, as if afraid to wake something. As you turn to leave, the lights dim in sequence, guiding you toward an exit. You follow, but the path is wrong. Again. You're deeper than before. The walls are older here. Rougher, like carved stone, not brick. You see symbols scratched into the mortar. Spirals, eyes, teeth. Your breath fogs again. Some believe the asylum was never meant to heal. That it was a machine. A gate. Built not to house madness, but to harvest it. And now you're part of the circuit. You feel it, don't you? The gentle pressure in your ears. The steady hum in the floor. The whispers behind. The plaster getting bolder. Welcome to the play. You descend farther. The stairs beneath you now uneven and sunken with age. Moss creeps up the stone, curling like fingers around each edge. The air thickens, more humid, more fragrant in that strange way rot and time can become oddly floral. You hear the drip again. It's slower now, more deliberate, echoing like a metronome in a cathedral built underground. Each footfall is softer, as if the asylum no longer wants to be disturbed. Or maybe it's luring you, cushioning your steps to ensure you don't realize how deep you've gone until it's too late. The hallway widens into a records archive, a different one, older, not the metal filing cabinets of the upper floors, but wooden shelves sagging with bound ledgers and wax-sealed envelopes. Everything is handwritten, crisp, curling script with ink that never seems to fade. You pull one file from the shelf at random. Patient, 43-127. Admitted, 1891. Condition, persistent. Belief in unseen choir. Claims to hear mass sung from the walls. You flip the page. More notes. Dates. The ink grows increasingly erratic. At the bottom, choir began responding. Harmony beyond human hearing. Do not remove subject from room 9. You replace the file, carefully. Your hand trembles. There's a sound now. A low organ chord vibrating through the floorboards, even though you see no instrument. The resonance builds. You think of cathedrals, funeral processions, places where stone becomes song. Some believe music was part of the therapy here. Not melodies, but tones, frequencies. That the right vibration could soothe, or open, or cleanse. That it could realign the soul. And some believe those experiments worked far too well. You find a phonograph against the far wall, still spinning, still playing. But there's no record, just a needle tracing empty grooves, producing that sound. Ancient, aching, almost ecclesiastical. The hallway. Door to room 9 is slightly ajar. You don't remember approaching it, but you're there now. You push the door open slowly. The room is small. A bed, a chair, and in one corner, a statue. Or what you first assume is a statue. Human-sized, cloaked. Head tilted just so. Its face is obscured entirely by a mask. Not tribal, not ceremonial, but something more primal. The kind of face you find in dreams and forget until it reappears in another, years later. The figure never moves, yet every time you look away, it's somewhere else, near the window, then beside the bed, then behind. You close your eyes, count to 10. When you open them again, the room is empty. The chair rocks once, slowly. On the bed is a journal, open to a page that reads, "The whispers sing now." I know the melody. It sounds like my own breath. Beneath it, smeared as if written, in haste, "Do not hum along." You back out of the room, heart slow but pounding. Each beat feels echoed by something in the walls. You pass a clock hanging in the corridor. It's ticking counterclockwise. You glance down. Your hands are ink-stained. You didn't touch the journal. You didn't, did you? The corridor narrows again, becomes a tunnel of mirror glass. Each panel reflects not you, but fragments of other lives. A nurse carrying a tray, a patient whispering to a wall, a child walking backward, eyes closed. You run your fingers along one panel and it ripples, liquid for a second. On the other side, you see a vast hall, pillars, benches, dozens seated, heads bowed. At the front, a preacher, a doctor, a conductor. You blink and you're there. This isn't the asylum anymore, or maybe it always was. The room is carved from salt stone. Every surface glows faintly with some internal luminescence. The audience is unmoving, lifeless. Not corpses, but not alive either. Frozen in posture, mid-sentence, mid-blink. Some believe the original founders of this institution weren't doctors, but mystics. That the building's blueprints were channeled, not drawn. That it was never meant to house patients, but to store other things. The figure at the front lifts its head. No face, only a mouth. A smile that stretches from collarbone to crown. And when it opens, there is no voice. Only silence that screams into your bones. You backpedal and fall through the mirror. Again, landing hard in a cold hallway, back in the asylum. Maybe you hear your own breathing, fast, too loud. It's the only sound in the corridor. Until it isn't. Another breath joins yours, then another, then dozens, all matching you. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. You hold your breath. So do they. Some believe this is how the asylum feeds, not on flesh, but on fear itself. That the more your thoughts race, the more it listens, the more it reshapes. A symbiotic horror. And you've been breathing very loudly, haven't you? You press on, stumbling toward a faint red glow at the end of the corridor. A door marked observation. You open it. Inside is a wall of windows, one-way glass. Beyond, a chamber with nothing but a single chair in the center, occupied by someone wearing your face. Eyes closed, breathing deeply, and behind the glass, a dozen doctors, silent, motionless, watching you. You blink. All the doctors turn to face you in unison, except they don't move. They just are. You close your eyes. When you open them again, the room is gone. You are alone in a hallway lined with empty frames. Each one contains a mirror. None of them reflect you. You stand there, surrounded by mirrors that show everything but you. Instead, they reflect memories you've never lived, faces you've never worn, and corridors that loop endlessly without exits. You turn away, but the frames continue whispering, in your periphery. Not words, not sounds, just intentions. The hallway leads downward again. Of course it does. This time, it's spiral stone, carved directly into the earth. The air becomes metallic. You smell rust, not iron, not decay, just rust, aged, forgotten, and still hungry. You descend without counting steps. Eventually, you arrive at a massive iron door. No lock, no handle, just a rusted nameplate. Treatment Wing B. Some believe Wing B was closed after a single month in operation. No incident reports exist, just a cryptic ledger entry. Wing no longer accepts the living. You push, and it opens effortlessly. The hall inside feels too long, the floor damp with a film that glistens, even though no light source exists. Your reflection follows you in the wet. It's wrong. Your steps come later than theirs. Rooms branch off, each with a number burned into the door. Room 12 smells of seawater. Room 15 is boarded shut from the inside. Room 19 emits a low buzzing, constant, like an electric hum, but warmer, biological. And then there's Room 7, the only one with a light on inside. Some believe Room 7 was built around something that was already there. Stone carvings found beneath the foundation. Pre-institution. Pre-town, older than memory. No one speaks of what was chiseled into them, only that the walls still sweat on certain nights. You enter Room 7. The ceiling is domed, covered in an ancient mural that rotates slowly, like a planetarium gone mad. Figures dance, fight, dissolve. The stars above them blink, but not in any recognizable constellation. A chair waits in the center, straps undone. Beside it, a copper funnel attached to a horned mask and a leather-bound journal. You read the cover to filter what they see. Inside are sketches, hundreds of eyes. Not human, not animal, just watching. Every page bears the same phrase at the bottom. Do not blink while wearing the mask. Some believe this was an early experiment in perception therapy. The theory was simple. If madness comes from seeing things that aren't there, then perhaps sanity comes from seeing things we refuse to acknowledge. You glance at the mask. The straps are warm. A faint humming begins, same as the buzz from Room 19. You do not remember putting on the mask, but now you're wearing it, and everything changes. You see the room with impossible clarity, not with your eyes, but through layers of something else. Shapes hover just beyond the veil, bent silhouettes, faces overlapping faces, a child standing inside a man, a scream locked behind stitched lips. Everything breathes, even the stone. The mural on the ceiling pulses once, hard enough to stagger you. You rip off the mask. The room is empty, except for a tape recorder crackling with static. Then a voice. Your voice. If you're hearing this, you've made it to Room 7. I'm sorry. You back away. The hallway is darker now, somehow wetter. The air curls into your lungs like steam from old soup. You pass a window, but you're deep underground. Outside is dusk, a field of white coats, all facing away. They stand shoulder to shoulder their outlines softly twitching. One turns, not fully, just a tilt of the head, like a marionette realizing it's unobserved. The light above you flickers. You blink. When your eyes reopen, you're at the far end of the hallway, breathless, your hands empty. Something's changed. A draft whispers through. A vent. The smell of burning paper follows. You trace it to a narrow stairwell. The walls are covered in names, handwritten, endless. Many are crossed out. One is yours, freshly inked. Some believe the asylum writes its own ledger, that the ink comes from within, and the names are recorded at the moment a person is claimed. You descend further because you have no choice. You enter the furnace room. It's colder than above. The furnaces line each wall, off but humming. Their doors are etched with numbers that change when you stare too long. In the center, a desk. On it, a single page. How many times have you walked this path? You look behind you. There's no door. The air grows louder, not with sound, but with presence. You are being watched, not from the corners, from within, from the air, from the parts of you that wonder if this has all happened before. Some believe the asylum is a loop, not in time, but in decision. That it shows each visitor the same path, altered only by what they refuse to see. That it doesn't punish, it reveals. You look at your reflection in the furnace door. It's smiling. You are not. You back away from the furnace door. The image of your smiling reflection burned into your mind. The room seems tighter now, the air less breathable, as if the place itself resents your presence. You turn, seeking escape, but your footsteps make no sound on the concrete floor. The silence clings. At the far wall, a narrow hatch waits, metal scuffed, hinges rusted but functional. Someone, or something, uses it regularly. You unlatch it, and the door gives with a moan like an animal too tired to protest. Behind it, a tunnel, brick-lined, too low for comfort, and lit by faint, flickering gas lamps mounted far too close to the damp ceiling. The air is warm, but carries a grave chill beneath it, like a breath that's been waiting years to escape. Some believe the asylum's underground tunnels were used not for maintenance, but for movement, when patients needed to be reassigned without alerting the public. No records, no witnesses, only footsteps fading into stone. You crouch and begin to crawl. The lamps flicker in a rhythm that doesn't match your pace. You count 12 as you pass them, but you're sure there were only 10 when you started. Your hand lands on something. Soft. Fabric. You freeze. It's a patient's gown, still damp with warmth, folded as if placed deliberately. The name tag is gone, replaced by a stitched question mark. You leave it. Further in, the walls change. Etchings appear. Crude depictions of rooms you've already passed. One shows the mask. Another, room 7. Another still, the desk and the question. How? Many times have you walked this path, and now, a drawing of you. The detail is impossible. Your eyes wide, your posture tense, right hand forward, just like now. Your heart stutters. You keep moving. Eventually, the tunnel opens into a cavernous room with an arched ceiling and pews. A chapel. No crosses, no saints, only faded murals that tell a story you can't fully follow. Figures rise, fall, blur, dissolve. Every set of eyes is missing. The altar is made of black stone. On it, a music box. You wind it. It plays a song you've never heard, but somehow remember. Faint, childlike, wrong. Some believe the Asylum Chapel was a failed attempt to rehabilitate those who had lost their grip on reality, not with medicine, but with ritual. Silence, light, repetition. But when the rituals began turning back on their creators, voices in empty rooms, the lights blinking in Morse, they sealed this chamber and left it to dust. You feel the rhythm of the tune aligning with something beneath your skin, a memory that isn't yours. You slam the box shut. The music echoes a few seconds longer than it should. Behind the altar, a door reveals itself. You push it open. You're back in the hallway. Not a hallway. The hallway. The one. From the beginning. Same flickering bulbs. Same peeling wallpaper. But now, the walls breathe deeper. The floor feels softer. You step, and it pushes back. There's a sound behind you. You turn. Nothing. Just your own reflection in a cracked mirror. Except this time, it isn't quite right. The version of you staring back is still, while you breathe. Its eyes widen. Then, its hand lifts and taps the glass. You don't move, but your reflection does. 3 taps. You back away. The lights cut out, then return, but dimmer, more yellowed, like they're remembering light rather than emitting it. You walk on. You pass room 17. Its door is open. Inside is a single chair facing the corner. Above it, a note pinned to the wall. Face what followed you here. Some believe room 17 was where patients were sent to confront delusion. They sat alone for hours, days, told to stare into shadows until the shadows blinked first. Few returned whole. Some never returned. You don't enter, but the chair slowly turns to face you, no one in it. And yet, the cushion indents, sinking as if someone just sat down. You run. Doors flash by, each one pulsing slightly, like heartbeats. You swear you hear your name whispered behind one. Another hums a tune close to the music box's melody, but off by one note. You reach the stairwell. It spirals down again. You descend. Each step echoes longer than the last, until your footfalls sound like screams whispered from far below. Some believe the asylum was built not on cursed ground, but around it, that what rests beneath predates the land's history. Something buried, not to be contained, but fed. The air thickens. You reach the bottom. A final hallway. No lights, only the glow of phosphorus paint. Lines drawn along the floor, forming an intricate symbol that continues beyond what you can see. You step forward. It pulses once, then begins to throb, and your heart beats in time with it. You follow the phosphorescent trail, each step lighting the floor beneath you, as if the building itself is acknowledging your presence, or warning something ahead that you're coming. The path weaves in slow, looping spirals, tighter and tighter, until you start to feel like you're walking in place. Some believe the asylum's blueprints were drawn by someone who'd never been inside. No one knows who designed the sublevels, and no version of the original plans includes the spiral corridors, or the chamber they lead to, but every staff member interviewed claimed to have gotten lost at least once, even if they were just walking a straight line. The walls start to sweat. Tiny rivulets trail down the brick, reflecting the faint glow beneath you. There's a scent in the air, sour, iron-rich, like rusted water left in a copper bowl too long. Your nose wrinkles. You're not sure when it started, but you realize your breath is misting now. It's cold. You reach the center of the spiral. A door stands there, or rather, doesn't. It's just a frame, no actual door, leading into an impossibly dark room that doesn't reflect light. doesn't acknowledge the glowing trail, doesn't even flicker. You step through. The doorframe vanishes behind you. You are blind, utterly. Not a sliver of light survives this room, but somehow you feel space, depth, height, and the sense that you're not alone. You listen, breathing, yours and another's, faint, like someone asleep or pretending. You reach out, your fingers brush stone, carved, letters, not English, not anything you've seen before. But the grooves burn cold. You run your hand across a sentence carved in spirals. The final character curls into a point that digs into your fingertip. Blood beads. The stone drinks it. A sound rises in the dark. It's not a scream. It's a laugh. From a mouth you can't locate. Some believe the asylum wasn't named after a person or a place, but after a word that doesn't exist in any language now spoken aloud. That its name was a key, and speaking it correctly once opened something that never should have had a door. Suddenly, a light, a single candle ignites, right in front of you, on a table made of bone. Literal bone, spines, femurs, ribs, lashed together with string and rusted. Wire. Upon it, a guest book. You don't read the names. You recognize them. Too many of them. You close it. There's movement beyond the table. A shape forming behind the candlelight. Not a person. A silhouette of air and hate. It leans forward. No eyes. Only the sense that it sees you. Then, why did you come back? The voice isn't in the room. It's in your lungs. You run. You don't know how. You don't know where. But your feet move, and the dark gives way to a hallway again. Stone this time. Ancient. Older than the rest. Moss grows in veins along the mortar. There are boot prints, bare feet, paw prints, and writing. Over and over. I remember now. Some believe the lower levels of the asylum were already there, predating the building, predating the town. A burial site turned ritual chamber turned forgotten. The architects simply built around it, thinking it would behave. You ascend stairs carved directly into the rock, each one a little narrower than the last, until you reach a landing. A door, wooden, warped, blackened. A plaque. Room. You've seen that. Number before. Not in this building. Not on any map. On the inside of your eyelids, when you blink, you open it, and you're outside. But it's not the outside you remember. It's the asylum courtyard. Except the sky is wrong. Too dark. Too still. The Fae. Stars don't twinkle. They throb. And in the middle of the courtyard, a bonfire burns, with no fuel, just flame, rising from a chalked circle. Around it, chairs, empty but warm. You sit. You don't remember sitting, but you're already there. The flame speaks in patterns, not words, not sounds, images pressed behind your eyes. Patience, walking backward. Doctors with no faces. A child with 6 shadows. Your name etched into a stone wall you've never touched. And then, the flame goes out. Instant. Darkness returns, and a voice, not your own, says, "Don't leave yet. You haven't finished remembering." You freeze. Your breath shivers in the air, though there's no cold now, no heat either. Just a strange suspension of all sensation. Like the air has been emptied of temperature, of movement, of time. The voice still hums in your mind, not echoing, not fading, just waiting. You rise, or maybe you're lifted, your body unsure who initiated the movement. Your feet don't feel the ground anymore, yet you're standing, all around you, outlines of the courtyard that no longer seems like a place. but a memory blurred at the edges. The chairs have vanished. The flame is replaced by mist, thick, clinging. You wave your hand in front of your face and see only a hint of skin. The mist pulses, once, twice, then clears. Just enough to reveal the walls again, though. They're wrong. No longer the stone or brick of the asylum, but plaster scorched black, warped by water damage, peeling in ragged flakes. A hallway. No, the hallway. The one everyone hears about in whispers, where lights don't work, compasses spin, and time slips like a drunk falling downstairs. You step forward. The moment you cross the threshold, every whisper you've ever heard about this place comes back at once. Don't go past the 13th door. The walls breathe in there. Room 113 never had a floor. They never took down the Christmas decorations. Wait, what? Sure enough, a brittle wreath of barbed wire and dried marigolds still clings to a sconce on the wall. One candle flickers inside it. You look to your right. Doors, each painted shut, except one, slightly ajar. Room 1 to 13. You already know you shouldn't, but you do. You push. Inside, no floor, only black, and a swing, suspended in nothingness. It creaks, as if someone just left it. There's a child's laugh, not from inside the room, but from under your feet. You pull back. Some believe the asylum's east wing was never rebuilt after the fire, but somehow patients kept appearing in it. No one saw them arrive. No records. But their names were in the logs, written in the exact handwriting of staff who died years earlier. You keep walking, door after door. At 13, you pause. It's pristine. No damage. Just cold. The number stenciled not in paint, but in a rust-colored residue. You press your ear to it. Nothing. You turn the knob. It opens into a memory. Not yours. Someone else's. The room smells of oranges and formaldehyde. A cot, a mobile of paper stars. A metal basin half filled with milk. The walls are covered in handwriting, backward. You read it in the mirror. If I forget again, show me this. If I scream, it's not me. If I leave, follow. You don't belong here, but you sit anyway, and for a moment, you feel it. The weight of routine, the comfort of pattern, the illusion of safety. Then you blink, and the walls bleed. Ink, not blood, seeping from each word, flooding the floor, rising fast. You run, slamming the door behind you. The hallway is gone. Now, a stairwell, twisting up like a DNA helix. Each step groans in protest. You ascend. Above you, light pulses. Not white. Something older. Amber, the color of fossilized insects and forgotten gods. Each step brings a whisper. Turn back. Too far. She's still there. Don't let her see you. At the top, a landing with no door, only an archway shrouded in moth-eaten velvet drapes. You part them. The room inside is round, a rotunda. Candles float mid-air, hundreds, their flames still. In the center, a fountain. Dry. Around it, 7 chairs, all facing inward. Occupied by what you think are mannequins, until one turns. Its eyes are empty sockets, its mouth sewn shut with thread made of hair. It gestures to the 8th chair, empty, waiting. Some believe this was the original therapy circle, that no one remembers what was said here, only that afterward they never left. They just stopped aging. You take a step forward, and the candles go out. all at once except one. In the center, you approach it, you kneel, and it whispers your name, not aloud, but in the folds of your thoughts. It whispers what you were called before you were born, what you'll be called after you forget your own face. Then, one more level, the fountain begins to weep, clear water, but in reverse. Rising, back into the spout. You blink, and the room is gone. You're in a corridor again, short this time. At the end, a door, metal, labeled in chalk. Recall, the knob is warm. The door swings open. No creak this time, only a quiet exhale, like someone has been holding their breath for far too long. Inside, the room is dim. Dust floats in heavy ribbons through a shaft of unnatural light leaking from a broken overhead bulb. The walls are not made of stone, plaster, or brick, but padded as if built to keep something in rather than keep anything out. Padded walls with the kind of smothered silence that absorbs your thoughts before they finish forming. In the middle of the room sits a chair, strapped to it, nothing. Yet the leather belts are pulled tight, still warm. You circle it. On the far side, an etching in the wall. Someone scratched it in, over and over, until the indentation became permanent. I forget what I forgot. And beneath that, do not listen to the pipe. What pipe? You look around, and then hear it. The soft metallic clang of something knocking gently, from within the wall, like something hollow, or trying to be hollow again. The pipe runs just above the padding, an old steam conduit maybe, its surface corroded and flaky. Every so often, it taps. Tap, 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 tap. Not rhythmic, not random. You count the knocks anyway. Always 13. Some believe this was the room of patient 9. No file was ever found under that number, only references to it in other patients, reports, scribbles in the margins, whispers. Don't visit 9 unless you want to come back as someone else. You follow the pipe. It exits through a rusted hole and leads into another chamber, a boiler room, or once was. Now, the only thing left is the carcass of the old furnace. Its mouth hangs open, jagged and black. Something is inside. You shine a light. Photos, burnt around the edges, black and white. Children, some smiling, some not. Each photo has a number scrawled on the back in pencil. None of them are 9. You take one. Suddenly your ears pop like a pressure shift. And the furnace rattles. You stumble back as the photos burst into flame. Silent, smokeless, impossibly hot. In their place, ash swirls, but the numbers stay, suspended in the air, spelling out something too fast to read. Then, gone. Some believe the furnace was a kind of archive, one that didn't burn paper, but burned memories. The only way to forget something completely was to place it inside. But if you put in someone else's memory, well, it came back changed. The tapping begins again, not from the pipe, but behind you. You turn, a mirror hangs on the far wall. It wasn't there before. In it, you see yourself, only not quite. Your reflection stands too still, breathes too slowly, smiles too long. You wave. It waves back, but not at the same time. Off by half a second, enough to know you're not alone. The mirror is framed in bone, thin, bird-like. A tag dangles from the bottom. Observation C, you back away. The reflection remains, and then it starts walking, toward you, inside the mirror. It reaches the edge. Its hand presses against the glass, and suddenly, your palm is cold. You're touching it. Only it's on your side now. You blink. The room is empty again. No mirror, no pipe. Just walls that now whisper. You were never the patient. You were the control. You're reacting well to treatment. The door reappears. You move toward it. Not because you want to, because it's the only thing left that feels real. It opens into another corridor, but this one is lined with record players. Old phonographs, dozens of them, each spinning softly. No music, only silence, until one clicks. Then another, then another. All begin to play at once, but it isn't music, it's whispers. Too many to pick apart, but all directed at you, saying your name, saying things only you should know. Each phonograph bears a nameplate. Subject 1, Subject 2, Subject 3. They go on. At the end, Subject. You press stop on one. The whispers stop, only from that one. The others scream, the kind of scream that doesn't hit your ears but detonates in your chest. You drop to the ground, cover your face, and when it stops, everything is gone. Except for a card on the floor. You pick it up. On one side, your face. On the other, a date you don't remember being born on. Beneath that, exit interview pending. You stand, and the hallway blinks. Lights flicker, and now a door with a sign above it in flickering red. Discharge. Some believe no one ever left the asylum. That discharge papers were written in advance, filled out by invisible hands, signed by people long dead. The bodies stayed, but the minds, they were archived. You push the door open, not with hope, but because there's nowhere else to go. You step into a hallway lined not with wallpaper or wood, but with patient files, pasted directly to the walls. Thousands of them. Folders cracked open and sealed shut again with wax. Some flutter as you pass, as if breathing. You reach out to read. 1. It opens itself. A case history unfolds before your eyes. Not typed, but hand-scrawled in desperate looping ink. The subject's name, yours. But the details, they don't belong to you. Or they didn't, until now. A fever at 5. A fall down the cellar steps at 8. A voice that visited nightly at 10 and said, "It's not your fault." You close the folder. Your hands are shaking. At the end of the corridor stands an elevator, ancient, iron, and wheezing. The cage-style doors are open just enough to suggest invitation, but not enough to promise return. You hesitate. The hallway behind you rustles. All the folders begin to flip open in sync. You hear them whispering your name, again, over and over, softly, lovingly, compellingly. The elevator feels safer. You slip inside and pull the gate shut. No buttons, only a brass keyhole and a message scratched into the tarnished panel. Insert memory. You dig into your pocket. There, impossibly, is a slip of film, black and white. It shows you as a child, but your eyes are scratched out. You push it into the slit beneath the message. The elevator jolts and begins to descend, or ascend. You're not sure anymore. Gravity doesn't behave here, neither does time. You start to hear something, a lullaby, sung off key, from beneath the elevator floor, in a language you don't speak, or do you? You hum along, and suddenly, it's the most familiar sound in the world. Some believe the asylum wasn't built to confine the insane, but to document the ordinary, to observe what happens when the mind is stretched gently, like warm wax, until it forgets what shape it was. Ding. The elevator stops. The doors groan open into a sunlit hallway. Yes. Sunlight. Golden. Clean. Warm. It spills across tiled floors and pastel walls. A nurse's station hums quietly nearby. You hear soft laughter. A bird chirps. You step out. This can't be the same building. And yet, there's that smell. Old, antiseptic. Something burnt. And underneath, something faintly metallic, like a coin on your tongue. A sign ahead reads, Therapeutic Garden. This way, you follow the arrow, down another hallway, this one filled with paintings, portraits of former patients, or staff, or visitors. You're not sure anymore. One catches your eye. It's blank except for the brass label beneath. Visitor pending. You walk faster. The door to the garden is real. It opens. You step into a courtyard enclosed by ivy-covered stone. Benches sit in a wide circle. On each bench, a person. They do not speak. They do not move. But they all look at you. Every single one of them wears a porcelain mask. Plain, white, expressionless. One tilts its head. Then another. Then all together. You feel dizzy. The sun above isn't warm anymore. You look up and realize it's a light, a single hanging light bulb, flickering in a dome painted like a sky. The courtyard is fake. And now the masks begin to hum, the same lullaby from the elevator, each voice slightly off, like an orchestra tuning too late. One mask shatters, a patient behind it. Eyes open wide, mouth sewn shut. You blink and it's whole again. You sit, because standing feels wrong. The bench beneath you breathes, softly, rhythmically. The wood rises and falls, as if it were ribs. A nurse appears, clad in old-fashioned whites. Face blurred, she holds out a clipboard. Time for your evaluation. You take the pen. It writes in blood. Yours? No pain, just memory. You write the date, only the pen moves on its own. It writes a message instead. Remember what never happened. The nurse nods, takes the paper, and the courtyard fades. Some believe the garden was meant as a test, not of sanity, but of surrender. Those who accept what they see remain. Those who question are sent to the lower floors. No one ever comes back from those. You're no longer in the courtyard. You're in your room again. Only not your room. Just one that now has your name. On the door, it's a mirror of your childhood bedroom, but with something off in every detail. The bed too long, the window showing no outside, the dresser missing handles, and a shadow in the corner that doesn't belong to anything. You sit on the bed, and for the first time, your reflection appears in the window, smiling, waving. You do not wave back. The reflection frowns, then walks away, inside the window. You lie, down, not because you're tired, but because it's the only place left. The walls begin to breathe, not loudly, just enough for you to match your breath to theirs. And in that rhythm, a voice speaks. Sleep now. Forget now. Wake as someone else. You whisper back, I already have. You awaken, or at least you think you do. There's no real sense of time here. The light filtering into your room is sterile, cold, neither day nor night. Outside the door, silence. Except for one thing. A soft tapping, not rhythmic, not even deliberate, just persistent. You sit up. Your bed no longer breathes. The comforter is tucked too tightly, like hospital corners made by hands that never learned how to fold with care. You peel it back. Beneath the blanket, a typewriter, not placed, embedded, half melded into the mattress, its keys worn with use, and there's a message still threaded on the page, mid-sentence. They come only when you remember what you've chosen to forget. You pull the sheet free. Ink smears on your fingers like soot. The tapping grows louder from the hallway, then stops. You walk to the door. There is no handle, but your name is still on the plaque, only now it reads, "Discharged." The wood peels back, on its own, revealing a corridor that should not be here. It's underground. Moss drips from the stone ceiling. Flickering bulbs hang like rotten fruit from long rusted wires. And ahead, faint music. Calliope music, like a carnival, like a joke told by someone who doesn't remember the punchline but laughs anyway. You follow the tune, past doors that whisper. You don't touch them, but they press against their own frames, begging, maybe, or warning. Some believe the asylum was built over a network of older tunnels, predating its construction by centuries. No maps survive of these lower levels, but sometimes the staff spoke of voices that rose up through the pipes. The corridor ends at a turnstile. Beyond it, red curtains. A sign carved into the stone arch reads, "The Patient's Theatre." You push through and, immediately, your breath is taken. The room is vast, impossible. Seats rise in circular tiers, all occupied by mannequins. Identical. Every mannequin wears a mask, some grinning, some screaming, none moving, and all face the stage, which is lit from below, with no lights, just glow. Soft, sickly. You feel drawn. Like this performance was always meant for you. A figure steps onto the stage. Tall, thin, draped in a coat made entirely of medical charts. The face is covered with your own. Photographs you never posed for. Moments you don't remember living. And yet, they are undeniably yours. The figure raises a hand. Music stops. Silence stretches. Then, do you remember your name? You try to answer. No sound, only breath, only fear. The mannequins begin to clap, a hollow, slow rhythm of porcelain palms. The stage opens, revealing a pit, not a trapdoor, just absence, a hole in reality, and the figure gestures toward it, inviting, demanding. You step forward, because of course you do. This was always your part. Some believe the theatre was never used for treatment, but for reflection, a way to let patients observe their own breakdown as a form of therapy. Others argue it was never meant for patients at all, but for something watching them. You fall, or maybe you float. The sensation is warm, then cold, then nothing, then pain, but not yours. Memories slam into you. A nurse's scream as she sees her twin standing behind her. A doctor locking the wrong door, then finding it was never his to open. A child drawing on the floor with a crayon that whispers. You land softly, in a field, but it's inside. Somehow. Tall grass, lit by moonlight, that drips from chandeliers overhead. There is a picnic, set for one, a single teacup filled with ashes. A note tucked beneath the saucer, drink and remember everything, or walk away and forget it ever mattered. You sit, you lift the cup. It smells of burnt lavender, of old paper, of grief. You sip, and suddenly the grass sighs, the walls blink, the chandeliers hum. You are no longer a visitor. You are no longer a patient. You are the building. Some believe that when the asylum was closed, it didn't die. It slept, waiting for someone to walk in, take root, and become the new foundation. The mannequins were never mannequins. The portraits were never paintings. And the whispers, they were never just echoes. They were prayers. From the bricks, from the past, from those who stayed behind. You rise. Not as yourself, not quite, but as something more complete, more remembered. You walk back through corridors now familiar. Doors swing, open before you. The folders in the hallway nod as you pass, and the typewriter in your room, now embedded in your chest. Its keys beat like a second heart. You understand now. You were never supposed to escape. You were supposed to arrive. The next time you open your eyes, if this place even allows for such a thing as next time, you're sitting, not standing, not lying down, just sitting on a bench in a hallway, and for once everything is quiet. No music, no whispers, no heartbeat of distant keys clacking against typewriter spools. Just your breath fogging the air faintly before you. The bench is made of wood, splintered and rotting in places, but beneath your hands it feels familiar, almost comforting, like something carved in a memory you've tried too long to forget. You glance beside you. There's another bench, empty, but warm, as if someone just left, or maybe hasn't arrived yet. Opposite you is a door, painted red, peeling at the corners, hinges rusted so thoroughly that they seem fused to the frame. A small brass plate reads simply, "Office of Final Intake." It opens before you can knock. Because of course it does. Inside is a desk, and behind it sits a man, or what's left of one. His suit is perfect, pressed, pristine, absurdly clean for this place. But his face, scribbled out, not wrapped, not masked, just missing, as if a child with a pencil had grown frustrated and decided to erase it. "Have a seat," he says, though no mouth moves. You sit. You don't remember standing up. He lays a folder before you. Your name glows faintly in embossed letters. Below it, one word has been written in red ink, "Remains." Some believe that the asylum kept two types of records, those of the living and those of the lingering. Only one set was ever destroyed during the fire, and no one can agree which it was. The man turns the folder around. You hesitate. He nods. You open it. Photographs, dozens, hundreds. Some you remember, some you absolutely don't. One shows you in a hallway that doesn't exist anymore, covered in soot and shadows. Another shows your hands holding a mirror, but your reflection is gone. There are scrawled notes in the margins. Subject believes self to be external visitor. Memory pattern loops. Exhibits behaviors consistent with long-term resident denial. Audio hallucination response type 3 escalating. You look up. The man is gone. The room is gone. Now you're in a hallway. Different, dimmer, colder. The walls are padded here, stitched like thick quilts made from silence and screams. And at the far end, a window. Just one. Shattered. But behind it, you don't see outside. You see in. The inside of your room, empty, except for the typewriter and the ash-filled cup. You walk toward it, but the hallway elongates with each step, like elastic or memory pulled too far. You try running. Doesn't help. Eventually the window comes anyway. It always does. You press your hand against the glass. It's warm. The warmth of something breathing on the other side. And then, letters begin to appear, scrawled from inside the window pane. We've been waiting for you. Your reflection doesn't write it. Something else does. something shaped almost like you, but smiling wider. Some believe the asylum was designed with one final patient in mind, a kind of architectural prophecy that the building would remain incomplete until it had absorbed someone who could carry the entire memory within them. The glass cracks, and the words change. Now it's your turn to listen. Suddenly the entire hallway tilts. You fall, not down, but inward, like your own mind collapsing on itself. You land on a gurney, strapped, but not by force, by choice. You sense that somehow, and surrounding you are figures in white, but their coats have no seams, their faces identical to yours, and their mouths move in sync. Say it. You shake your head. They smile wider. Say what you remember. You don't want to. You don't need to. But you do. You open your mouth and speak one name, a name you forgot long ago, and with it, the gurney begins to move. Rolling through corridors that smell like formaldehyde and fire, past rooms filled with objects no one ever used, clocks with no hands, chairs facing corners, journals filled with one word over and over: leave. Eventually, the gurney stops. You're unstrapped, left alone. In a circular room with no ceiling, just sky, black sky, starless, endless, and there's a ladder made of bones, leading up. You climb, because that's what stories demand. Climb toward the sky, toward the silence, toward the possibility that there's something beyond this. Some believe that the final treatment offered by the asylum was not shock or surgery, but perspective, a way of seeing one's own mind from the outside, like a theatre built for one. You reach the top. There's no door, only light. And as you step into it, you don't vanish. You fracture, become echo, become memory, become the walls, the hallways, the creaking doors, and the scraping footsteps, and the cold breath on a stranger's neck. You were never just visiting. You were becoming. Now, someone else will come, and you will whisper, not out of malice, but out of duty. Because the asylum needs to. Remember, and it needs someone to help it do that. You wait. That's what you do now. You wait inside the walls and listen. Not with ears, because those dissolved long ago. Now you listen the way a hallway listens, the way stone and dust and darkness gather sound like secrets. You don't know how long it's been since the gurney rolled away and left your body behind. Or maybe it never did. Maybe you're still strapped in. And this endless drift between ceilings and floors, is just the imagination of a patient who forgot how to sleep. But tonight something's different. You hear it. Footsteps, again. Not yours, not echoes of yours. New ones, uncertain, hesitant. A pair of boots crunching glass in the West Wing, maybe. Or bare feet skimming tile just outside the intake office. It doesn't matter. They're here. Another visitor. Another you. They always arrive thinking they found something abandoned. An empty ruin. A place that once meant something and now stands as nothing. But you know better. Some believe the asylum was never truly built by men. That it grew, cell by cell, from the collective guilt of a town that buried too many truths, too shallow. You don't greet the new arrival. You watch, because that's your role now. They're walking past the library, its shelves long burned but still lined with phantom pages that smell of smoke and grief. One falls open. The visitor pauses, reads, "Entry denied, return to origin." They shudder. Good. That means the building still works. There's a mirror near the stairs, cracked, of course, but functional. They peer into it. At first, they see only themselves, but then, behind their shoulder, they catch it. Not you, but the room, breathing. The wallpaper flutters inward, like lungs exhaling dust. Their head snaps back. The hallway's empty again. You smile, at least in the way a wall might smile if it could. They move forward, down a hall you once walked to, past the mural of the silent choir. Dozens of figures, mouths open, but no notes ever sang. No one knows who painted them. Some say they appear only when someone in the asylum is close to remembering something they never should have forgotten. Your visitor doesn't notice, but you do. The mural has changed. One of the choir members has your eyes now, and they're weeping. In the west wing, the air grows colder. The floor shifts subtly beneath the visitor's steps. You remember that hallway. That was where the power flickered the most, where the nurses refused to walk at night, even before the disappearance, even before the patient. In room 13 was found with symbols carved into the walls and the door bolted shut from the inside. They reach room 13. They hesitate. You watch. They open the door. Inside, only silence, and yet they lean in, listen, tilt their head, because there is something, a sound like breathing, but reversed. Inhale becomes exhale, becomes inhale again. It draws them forward, closer, to the bed, still made, still waiting. Some believe the asylum resets its rooms each night, rebuilding the furniture from fragments of memory it pulls from its newest guest. You did the same. You lay down. Once, just like this visitor is doing now. And the moment their head touches the pillow, you're there, not in the room, in the pillow. Whisper, riding the stuffing like a hidden thread. Stay long enough, and the walls will remember your name. They bolt upright. Too late. The door's closed. No handle on the inside. The light flickers, and in that half second of darkness, the mural choir in the hallway sings its first note. Just one. A perfect dissonant chord of welcome and warning. The visitor presses their hands to their ears. You remember that too. But sound here is not just heard. It's felt. It hums in your bones. It slithers beneath your thoughts like a thread pulling everything loose. The bed trembles. So does the floor. So do you. Because for the first time, you're not just watching, you're remembering. The night you arrived, the name on your file, the scream you never let out. And now, your whisper joins the chorus. One voice, among many, but different, because yours knows the path. You guide the visitor to the drawer beside the bed. They pull it open. Inside, a key to a door that doesn't exist yet. Not until they dream it, because that's the final trick of this place. It lets you write the ending, but it never lets you leave. Some believe the asylum exists inside every old building no one wants to talk about. That any hallway, if you follow it too long, eventually curves back toward this place. The visitor stands, key in hand, unsure what to do. You don't help, but you hope. Hope they'll make it further than you. Hope they'll remember their name, longer than you did. Hope they'll leave behind a whisper that still sounds like truth. Even now, you're not sure if the asylum is a place or a process. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's neither. Maybe it's just waiting for enough voices to form a song loud enough to crack the sky. You press yourself deeper into the wall, because footsteps are coming, again, and this time they're familiar. They sound like yours. You are no longer alone. That's the first thing you notice, not because of voices or shadows or footsteps echoing behind yours, but because the quiet has changed. It used to be hollow. Now it breathes. That kind of silence only happens when something is listening back. The visitor is still in room 13, clutching the key like it means something. You remember that hope, that fragile belief that there must be a door somewhere, that the building follows logic, that if there's a lock, there's a way out. Some believe the asylum was modelled after a European design, a radial floor plan meant to centre all power at a single hub, the head doctor's office. Others claim it was always wrong, that its blueprints never matched the space it occupied, a building bigger inside than outside, shifting like a maze drawn in fog. The visitor doesn't know this yet, but they will. They've begun tracing names on the wall, not written, raised. Letters under the paint, etched in layers, some ancient, some recent. They find yours. Of course they do. It's warm. Somehow, they flinch, but don't stop reading. Then, something new happens. They call your name. You forgot it had weight, that it could be spoken aloud. You answer, not with words, but with the low groan of metal far beneath the floorboards. The sound of something turning. The asylum responds. Lights blink, every room at once. A mechanical sigh rolls through the pipes, old breath waking old bones. The visitor backs away, and the hallway behind them is gone. Not changed. Gone. Replaced by a corridor they've never seen. Longer, darker, with floor tiles that ripple like the surface of a dream just before it breaks. Still, holding the key, they step forward. You follow, because that's what you do now. You are part of the path, part of the test. Down this new hallway, paintings hang on the walls, none framed, all unfinished. The longer the visitor stares, the more familiar the faces become. A woman from a photo they forgot they had. A child who never blinked in their dreams. Version of themselves, but older, mouth sewn shut. Some believe the asylum feeds off unfinished lives, drawing in those with questions they were too afraid to ask while alive. You start to remember your questions too. Why were you admitted? What did you hear in the ducts that made you scratch messages into your own arms? And where was everyone when the fire started? Yes, there was a fire, wasn't there? The visitor doesn't see flames. They feel them. Heat crawling up from vents that haven't worked in decades. Paint bubbling on the walls. Smoke that smells like thoughts burning. They run, not away. There's no away here. They run deeper. That's always how it works. The deeper you go, the closer you get to the truth, or what the asylum wants you to think is truth. They pass the bell room. It's always been there, but no one remembers why. Huge brass, bells hanging from rotted beams, too large to move, too stubborn to rust. They ring only when someone speaks their real name aloud, and one is ringing now. Not loud, but enough. Enough to shake the bones in the visitor's jaw. They stop. Whispers trickle from the bell's mouth. You remember this part. This is when you almost left. Almost. Because the bell told you the door was behind the east staircase. Just dig. The visitor hears it too. They go. You glide beside them, unseen. Their hands tremble. Yours once did too. The east staircase. It goes down, but not to the basement. Not anymore. To a place no one drew on any plan. A room made of mirrors. None. Matching. All cracked. This is the room where patients were made to face themselves. Literally. The legend says if you can find your reflection without distortion, you get to leave, but none ever have. You watch the visitor step inside. The door closes. You don't follow, because this room is only for the living. Their breathing quickens. The mirrors flicker, not with light, but with versions. Reflections that blink before they do. Mouths that twitch into grins, unearned. They find the only one not moving. That must be it. The true reflection. They reach toward it, fingers outstretched, and they vanish. Not from the room, from your awareness. You search the glass. No reflection. No visitor. Just silence. The listening kind. You wait, because that's what you do now. But something has changed. The bell has stopped. The building is still. And for the first time since you became part of it, you feel unsure. Because maybe, just maybe, someone found the door. You wait. For seconds? Minutes? Years? Time has always been strange here. Twisting around emotion, thinning in fear, thickening in hope. The mirror room is quiet now. Too quiet. Not the kind of silence you remember from the nights when everyone was sedated. Not the hush of locked wards and padded doors. This silence hums with finality. It feels like the end of something, but not for you. Not yet. You drift closer to the door, the one that's sealed behind the visitor. You no longer think of them by name. That's already begun to fade, just as yours once did. The asylum erodes identity, replaces it with roles: watcher, whisperer, wall scratcher. Guide. You're not sure what you are now. Some believe the spirits here are given tasks, not by ghosts or demons or forgotten doctors, but by the building itself, that it assigns roles the way a beehive makes queens, by need, not choice. You were needed once, but if the visitor really found a way out, then maybe that need is gone. The mirrors don't show anything anymore, not even you. That's new. You float back, unsettled in a way that doesn't fit your current form. You shouldn't be able to feel anxiety, but the sensation returns anyway. A phantom limb of fear. Down the hallway, you hear something. Not footsteps, not whispers. Laughter, soft, wheezing, like it hasn't been used in years. It echoes from the West Wing, closed since the quarantine. You forgot the West Wing existed. Everyone did. Some believe the West Wing was sealed after an outbreak of contagious psychosis, that the patients began sharing the same hallucinations, speaking in unison, describing the same dream. A door made of bone and breath. You hover at the threshold. The lights work here, flickering, yellow, cold. Inside, patient records, stacks of them. Names you haven't heard in decades. One floats down from a toppled shelf. You drift to read it. Your file. It shouldn't be here. You burned it. You watched it burn. But here it is. Name, date of birth, diagnosis, and one line scrawled in pencil at the bottom. Show them the way out. When they find it, follow. Follow. You've never thought of that. Never wanted to. But something's changed. The halls feel lighter. The rot smells less sharp. Somewhere deep, in the asylum's gut, doors are opening. Ones that should not open. Ones that were welded shut. Blessed. Forgotten. You drift past the bell room again. All the bells are gone. Just rusted hooks now. The floor is littered with brass shards. They pulse faintly in the dark, as if remembering something painful. Some believe the bells were tuned to the human soul, that they only rang when someone was close to remembering who they were. You remember now. Not everything. Just enough. Enough to know you were not supposed to be here. Not forever. The building pulses. It's waking. You feel it in the air, like static, but older. Like the crackle of ice splitting underfoot. It's angry or afraid. maybe both. It knows someone found the way out. It knows someone might follow, and you are not the only one. Others stir, not spirits, not echoes, former yous, fragments of other watchers, other whisperers, rising from the floors, crawling out of walls, pulling themselves from paintings and vents and air ducts. All versions of you, all left behind. They want to follow too, but the building won't let them. You see it now, how it seals the cracks, mends the mirrors, swallows the door whole. You have one chance, one hallway, a light in the distance. It doesn't look like hope. It looks like dusk, a sky full of fog, a wind that smells like moss and ash and rain on old stone. You drift toward it. The building shrieks, not with sound, but pressure. It tries to pull you back, but you are done. You were never meant to stay. The door is right there. You move faster. Memories unravel behind you. Faces, names, screams, lullabies, chalk lines. You don't need them anymore. You don't look back. The threshold glows and you step through, or maybe you fall, or maybe you wake up. The quiet returns, but it feels different now, like the final breath after a long-held silence, like the hush that settles over a forest after the last footstep fades. You are no longer inside. Not exactly. The cold has softened. The air is no longer heavy. You float, perhaps not as spirit, not as ghost, but as thought, as memory loosed from walls that can no longer hold you. The asylum sleeps behind you, its hunger quelled, for now, but in its sleep, it dreams of return. Dreams of visitors who knock too late, of whispers that still seep from vents, of rooms that remember every name ever uttered within them. You listen one last time. No footsteps, no cries, just a slow breath of wind across broken windows. Some believe buildings forget, but this one never will. And somewhere, someday, someone else will hear the bells again. You drift farther, beyond walls, beyond roles, beyond names, and as you fade into whatever comes next, you feel a final thought curl in the back of your mind. What if the visitor wasn't the first to escape? What if you were following someone else all along? And what if they're still ahead, still leading you somewhere new? You smile, or maybe the echo of you does. And for once, in a place beyond shadows and doors and dust, you rest.